right. Horror with Marchese Buller. Gary? Gary?
Hello. I thought I'd wind you up. Sorry.
And today we have the crew of the Calling Darkness podcast.
Hello.
Hello.
And a little bit of an echo. So let's go through everybody and say hi. We got Charlotte.
Hi.
We have Gemma.
Hello.
Let me see. We have S.H. Cooper.
Hello.
Allison.
Hello.
We might have Victoria.
I'm here. Hi.
Yes. And let me see if I say this right. Desdemona.
Hello.
Okay, perfect. And so far, so good. Everything's running. As we all know, last time we had Gemma on, she says that some sort of a evil spirit possessed things, and the podcast went to crap. It could have also just been Microsoft. I mean, I like to think it's Microsoft because they're evil. I mean, and they're, you know...
Maybe it was Microsoft demons. Maybe it was like two entities combined into one foul thing.
Micro Google.
Yeah. Ooh.
But well, actually, let's start off with that. What was that that whole thing? Did that like cling on to you, or did something happen that maybe stuck around with you? That you said, because you said it happens when you go on some shows. Sometimes things start messing up.
Yeah. I think I just cursed. It wouldn't surprise me. It's because I spent so long as a child just kind of scrabbling around in the bottom of old cemeteries and grave robbing. It just, as teenage pastimes go, it just doesn't set you up for like a long, successful life. So, I don't know.
Wait a second. You said grave robbing?
I'm joking.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say it's what we do in England, you know.
Yeah, there's nothing else to do. In
you know.
It's, you know, the nights are dark. We don't have the internet. It's pretty much just grave robbing, really.
That explains a lot.
Occasionally cow tipping if you live in the countryside. Like, that's fun.
Oh man, so how's everybody doing today?
Fabulous.
We're good.
I mean,
Doing well.
I can only speak for me, but I'm pretty great.
You speak for me. We'll speak for we.
Doing super rad.
So for the podcast, you know, Calling Darkness. So I noticed that that's what I was thinking actually when you said that you had something clinging to you. I thought maybe you were sitting around doing some sort of seance. Yeah, Beyonce. Like seance with. Is that like what the podcast is about? It's like you're calling darkness. And then maybe something.
Beyonce, though, I think we should change it. Beyonce summoning demons. So much better. I'll shut up.
Well, basically, what the podcast is, 6 women come together for an acting class, and they accidentally end up summoning a demon, as you do when you get a group of women together. And basically, from there, it just all goes wrong.
So it's basically all of you doing the voices. You come into this class, and it's like, so they're coming to like some sort of a demon, like for a demon picture or a demon movie that they're going to be making, or is it they just became friends and then they started doing the whole seance thing and summoning?
No, the girls. So the podcast revolves around the story of 6 girls who are brought together. They don't know each other beforehand, and they see an advertisement for like an acting class, and they all respond. And it's like a weekend retreat class where you can go and learn different acting techniques. And through the process of meeting each other and going to this house, certain things happen, which means that they accidentally, without realizing it, summon a demon. So it's pretty much the story of 6 girls coming together, doing something really silly, and then learning how to deal with it afterwards. I think, does that sound right, girls?
Yeah, I think that sums it
Sounds
up.
accurate.
So it's
Yeah.
perfect.
Which is, basically all of our lives.
So how's it going to come across this? Is it going to be a serial thing or? Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's we're hoping for it to be a weekly episodic podcast. So it will be syndicated across all the podcast channels as usual. It'll be listen every week. It's 10 episodes long, the first season, and we've got plans in place for season 2 and the storyline and how we take that forward.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, because that's going to take... I was going to say, you're probably going to pre-record all of them before you put them out, right? Because...
Yeah,
it's going to be
sure.
a lot of work.
Yes.
I noticed you had a voice actor also. I saw one of the posts for it. I can't remember the gentleman's
We've
name.
actually been very fortunate and have a fantastic cast who have backed us. We've stolen a few people from the No Sleep podcast, such as Dan Zapula and Aaron Lillis. They're going to be working with us. Who wants to take a shot at Graham's last name? Because I'm not entirely sure how that
Rowat.
goes.
It's Graham Rowat.
Rowat, there you go. Graham Rowat. He is in everything.
Everything.
The man is fantastic. He has his hands across every acting medium you can get in, and we're very lucky that he auditioned and is willing to work with us as our demon overlord, Lialga.
It's
Wow.
super exciting.
Yeah.
Can I ask how it came about? The whole podcast.
Gemma, why don't you take this one?
Well, actually, this is mostly down to Charlotte. So when it all goes wrong, it's your fault, Charlotte. It's
Sorry.
Charlotte and most of the girls, we in some way, shape, or form are involved with the No Sleep podcast. So S.H. Cooper has been like a really prolific No Sleep author on Reddit, on the subreddit, for a couple of years, and has had her stories on the No Sleep podcast for a couple of years as well. I write stories for the No Sleep podcast, and then the girls are kind of fans and interact with various other different podcasts. I know Des is involved in pretty much as many podcasts as Graham is, and Charlotte's like super fan. So we all developed this interest in podcasting and in voice acting, and so Charlotte put together a group chat where we decided we were going to share casting calls with each other and help each other along with auditions and acting techniques and recording techniques. And Muggins here just kind of dropped it in the group chat that we should make our own podcast, and then it just went boom and exploded into...
You're missing a very key element here, though, darling. Gemma had been imbibing a little that evening, and we were talking about what would happen if none of us ever got cast in anything, and Gemma's approach was pretty much, well, if no one's going to give us any roles, we're just going to make our own. And we're going, okay, we have 2 writers, we have an artist, we have all these women interested in voice acting, so why not? Why don't we just start putting something together and see how it goes? And yeah, that's kind of how we started.
And this literally started about 2 months ago, was it? I think Charlotte had the date. It was like 2 months.
March
day
15th,
Yeah.
I believe.
11.
It's insane. Like within
15th or
2
11th.
months, we've written like 3 episodes nearly now, and we've got all of our cast in place and lots of other bits and pieces behind the scenes, and that not bad for 2 months, considering that everybody else works as well. And this is like a labour of love for us that we're doing in our spare time. So I'm really excited.
I was going to kind of ask, how do you sort of coordinate something like that? I mean, it's hard enough me and Will coordinating this. Is just 2 of us, So how do you girls sort of get together and, decide when you're going to meet up and, arrange everything?
Des
We just
has actually
constantly
been
talk to each other.
Yeah, that lots of talking, but Des has also been instrumental in keeping us organized.
We have a Des, and that's all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like a machine. She's just super organized.
Yeah, Des has been very organized. We are constantly in contact via different messengers. We have a Discord server that we set up for everyone. So
Most of
it's
it,
a lot of talking.
there's a lot of talking, and most of it's on Facebook chat as well, isn't it? Like we just shoot the shit on a daily basis, and actually the ideas come from that. And what I was going to say was that even before we started writing as a group, we just had a really good dynamic and we had fun. And what Sarah and I have found as we're writing the show and the ideas are coming out, is that group dynamic and that solidarity and that kind of camaraderie is really translating across to the script. So it's it feels a bit like the podcast is sort of making itself, and
Mm-hmm.
in that there's a lot of hard work, but it's surprisingly easy to coordinate everybody.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you all have an interest in horror. Have you got horror backgrounds? I know some of you are part of the No Sleep podcast and all that, but so what are your backgrounds in terms of your literary backgrounds? Or are you writers? Are you voice actors? Maybe one at a time, just sort of give a bit of a history.
Well, okay, I'll start. Just to clarify, I'm S.H. Cooper.
Cool.
I have been a writer for a very long time, but I got into horror about 2 years ago. I've been a horror fan of the genre for my whole life, but specifically writing horror started 2 years ago. As Gemma said earlier, I started on the No Sleep subreddit, and from there I got picked up by the No Sleep podcast. And from there, I've started writing for a couple other podcasts, including Calling Darkness, obviously. And that's actually why I've met all these people now, because of No Sleep and because of horror. So it's been fun.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm Gemma. I mean, we've
to follow up?
We've spoken a fair bit about it. I've just always loved horror and scary stories, and came across the No Sleep podcast, and things went from there, really.
Cool. Next.
Well, hey, this is Allison. So just been, super fan mode since I was little with horror, and then I've wanted to get into voice acting forever. So this group kind of finally got me to get off my butt and do that, which is good. And I just like all the creepy stuff. It's the most fun.
Awesome.
Excellent. Anyone else, or?
I think we kind of all have similar stories of like we've all been into horror for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much it. And have been involved with similar genre podcasts or something related to that. Like they said, I do a lot with a lot of different podcasts, most of which have to do with either horror or something strange and mysterious.
Yeah, plus I think horror is just it resonates with everybody. It's the most real genre, It's like, even if life is really good, there's always that ending that has to happen. And I think horror just like kind of really, it can encapsulate that whole feel, and no matter how good things are, there's always something bad around the corner. I hate to be I like to be a little more motivational, but it's life, and it depends on how you take those bad things, obviously, but horror pretty much gets it, where if you read, like, let's say a romance novel, you know what you're getting. You're going to get the romance, and then that's the end of the story, but it doesn't say, like, except unless it's like the Notebook, where at the end they die. But I mean,
No.
Spoiler
where
alert.
they will themselves to die.
Well, it's a beautiful death, It's not like it's an ugly thing, but I guess you could say he injected a little bit of horror into it, if you want to put it that way. It's not a gruesome thing, but
Lars is gruesome. I'm afraid our podcast is gruesome. It's worth saying at this point that Calling Darkness is it's the story of 6 women who summon a demon by accident. It's a horror comedy, so we are trying to scare you and make you laugh at the same time and make you feel things, and the script kind of goes across a wide range of emotional depths, and it's kind of funny and sweet and gross.
Would you say it's kind of like Evil Dead, sort of?
Yes,
I was going to
exactly.
say, yeah.
In fact, Erin Lillis, who's also in our cast, that was the exact thing she said when we told her that she was cast as our housekeeper, Mrs. Morwood. She was like, "Great, I can work on my Evil Dead routine," and that's kind of what we're going for. We want people to laugh, but then I think when things are funny, you don't expect to be scared, and I like the up and down nature of that. You're not quite sure where you are.
Yeah, I know Gary's a big fan of Evil Dead, and Bruce, right? Bruce is his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce Campbell. I love Evil Dead. It's just like my number one. Yeah, and as you say, it's really hard to do well, the horror comedy thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can just fall flat on its face, but when it's done well, I think actually sort of humour and horror are very close emotions, and sometimes they sort of overlap a little bit. You know, you can spill from laughter into being terrified, and from being terrified into laughter sometimes.
For sure.
Yeah, so I'm really intrigued to hear where you sort of go with it, you know. So if it is anything like Evil Dead, I'll just have a fan explosion, just absolutely love it.
Yo, what's that other one? Shaun of the Dead? That's another comedy that does it pretty well.
Yeah. It's more sort of comedy than horror, I suppose. But goodness,
you've got stuff like Cabin in the Woods. You got Shaun of the Dead.
Hell.
Oh yeah.
One of the things I love about horror is that it's not really something that is its own genre. It can spread into so many other things.
Yeah.
And this is a conversation I have quite a lot because a genre of horror that I write frequently has been dubbed wholesome horror, which is horror element that leads to a happy ending. That's something that I'm known for on No Sleep, and it annoys the crap out of people because a lot of people say it's not horror. But one of the things I love about horror is that it covers so much, and it can cover a wide range of subgenres. So I think horror and comedy go hand in hand pretty well if you're able to balance, the bloodshed with the laughter.
And the warm fuzzies.
Yeah.
Warm Fuzzies, and then oh my god, it's balance. Like we've been tinkering. Well, Sarah's written the pilot episode. We're splitting up the writing duties, and then we both kind of get involved in edits and comments, and then the whole gang kind of approves each script. And just reading the pilot alone, I think the tone that we've got is perfect, and it's the action and the narrative is kind of brought together by an overall narrator figure as well. And that just helps to add an extra element of kind of humour to the whole thing. But it can be serious when it needs to be. And then I guess on top of that, to really bring it all together is, we have an audio team who are doing a good job so far of sourcing different squishy sound effects and creepy noises. And as we work through the process of putting it all together, I think they'll be instrumental in getting that balance right.
Yeah. How long's each episode going to be? And how do you sort of coordinate the highs and lows over that sort of period of time? Is it going to be like a half hour or an hour, or how's it going to work?
Yeah, it's going to be a half hour each episode. Well, as close to a half hour as we can get. That's what we're aiming for.
Yeah.
Half hour, 10 episodes for the first season, and if we do continue into the second season, I think it'll pretty much be the same. I don't think we're planning to change up that portion of it.
I think the finale might run on a little bit longer, but I think we're aiming for any longer than that, and it is quite hard, particularly the kind of story we're telling where there's something surprising around every corner. I think any longer than half an hour and you're just drained. You can't really listen for any longer. It's a good length.
This is just audio, right? There's no video to it or anything?
No, you
correct.
Don't video of us.
So now, are you going to be putting it out on YouTube also, or are you just going to have like a blank screen, or?
Well, much like a lot of podcasts now, we do have a couple resident artists, such as Desdemona, who are doing episode arts for us, so that will be present during every episode. And then we have another artist, he goes by Mediocre on Twitter, and he's doing some additional art for us as well. So it's really going to depend what kind of art we're provided and how we set it up for the show. But I think for the most part, it's going to be fairly static episode art.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, so I mean, it's I was going to say, are you planning to make a website, like just a flat out website with callingdarkness.com, or is it just going to be like the Twitter and
I'm doing a really poor job of doing the website. If to hold my hands up, we're having a website. It'll be very very similar to all the other podcasts where you can go and listen to the episode directly on the website, but the majority of it will just be streamed across the different podcast platforms and apps and bits and pieces.
Yeah, that can be a pain too.
Yeah, well, I mean, it should be fairly straightforward. And the nice thing about having your own website is we have so many cool people involved. You can't always get that information across very well on social. And I'd like to dedicate a little bit more time and energy to their bios and their histories and stuff. Although I don't think I've got a long enough actual time frame to write about Graham, because it's just I can't write a book. So everyone else is fine, but he might have to wait. Yeah, we'll have a site. We'll have the whole shebang. It's getting there slowly and surely. But we're focusing on writing first, because I think with anything, if it's going to be good, it has to be well written.
Absolutely.
Quick question. So do you guys, who writes the characters, scenes? Like, do you each write your own scenes, or is there someone who writes the story and then someone else edits, or maybe one personal edit and go around like that?
Well, Gemma and I have actually split up writing responsibilities. I'm doing some whole episodes and she's doing other whole episodes. We are going to do the final episode together as a truly joint effort. But once we do the first draft, then everyone gets a say in editing and comments and letting us know, you totally screwed this up. This isn't my character at all. So yeah, it's very much a team effort. Yeah, it's trash pretty much. I had to rewrite the whole pilot. I just want everyone to know I've already written the pilot twice. But
Sarah.
Yeah, it's very the charm. It's very much a team effort. Gemma and I are doing the most of the writing, but the others are giving us feedback to let us know if they like the direction we're going or if they think that something should be tweaked here or there.
Yeah, and it's also worth pointing out that Charlotte's character is, as she is in real life, is Danish. So she is our resident Danish advisory service, and she's writing all the bits in Danish. Which, to be fair, we could be saying your mum likes to kiss pigs, and we wouldn't know. But I trust you, Charlotte.
I think that's how.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Yeah. I think that's
Don't
how she.
do that.
Charlotte, I think that's how you said hi to me on Skype when you first added me.
Yeah.
She's evil. Don't listen to her sweet and innocent laugh. She's a really black soul.
It looks like we actually have a question in chat.
Ooh.
Alicia Atkins has asked, are you guys going to have a trailer like a lot of other podcasts do, or are you trying to pull a Beyonce, a Seance, and just drop the first episode with no warning?
We have a trailer. Which is being tweaked and peaked by our lovely editor people, and who I will introduce. I'm not being rude. I'm just trying to do one thing at a time. And I think we're all on board that the sound and the feel that we're going for, very much like the Grey Rooms podcast, of whom we're all very well acquainted. Hello. It's very rich in sound. It's a very rich soundscape. It's atmospheric. There's a lot of sound effects, as well as the audio and the script. It's not like somebody reading a story. It's a fully immersive experience. So in order to get people on board and get them excited about the podcast, we hope that the trailer will kind of help keep the interest going and keep the PR machine wheels spinning.
I was going to ask how you're promoting this. What have you got a plan laid out? Obviously, you're on this podcast. Are you going to go on other podcasts? How do you plan on raising the promotion for it?
Just the shit out of everyone.
We're actually very lucky,
marketing.
and we do have the support of other podcasts who are willing to promote us and help us out as we develop along the way. So we're actually surrounded. I don't want to say anyone specifically just yet, but we do have people in the background who are working with us and who are going to be promoting us the further along we get. So we are very lucky in that respect. And other than that, I think it's a lot of social media talking and just a lot of shoving our product into people's faces and saying love us, which is, as a writer, that's what I do with my stories anyway. So.
But it's also, I don't know about you guys with your channel, but it's about interacting with other people who are doing the same sort of thing as you. And the useful thing about podcast, the world of podcasting is so unbelievably inclusive and supportive. And the second a new podcast pops up, people want to share it. And you have Audio Drama Sunday where people hashtag the hell out of each other and follow Fridays and all of that stuff. We just, if you're on the ball and if you're sincere and honest and you support each other, that kind of helps you promote your own show. Absolutely. Thing.
It's like me and Will are shitty writers, and we have other shitty writers sort of supporting us, so it's fantastic. There's loads of them.
We're shitty writers with good advertisements.
Yay!
Yeah. Yay.
Oh, we have shitty advertisements too.
No.
No.
We're on to a loser, no way.
So will you have Easter eggs so basically like where all the titles spell out something, or little things that come out later in the seasons, like similar to like AMC and FX series?
I think if we did, we weren't going to tell you. So
Touche.
There are
listen
Easter
and
eggs.
see.
Oh, burn.
yeah, there are a few things in there that tie back to other things. Some in the show itself, others related to things that aren't part of the show. But people who are familiar with our work will recognize. I hope I say that like people pay attention to what we do.
We have a lot of in-jokes as well, and actually, to be fair, most of the in-jokes you guys might not get because they're all in-jokes that make us laugh on our group chat.
Yeah, nobody is gonna.
Nobody else is gonna get them. There's like a running theme of jokes, and I think that is, I think again, that's the special thing about the show is it's the relationship between the 6 girls, and that's based directly on the relationship that we have. And
Can we talk about our priest for a moment when we're talking about jokes, because I think that's a fun story to share.
Yeah.
About how he doesn't have a proper first name. Our priest is Father Montgomery, played by Owen Kuhn, and he started out. We started talking about getting some guys involved because it's pretty obvious that we are a female-dominated podcast. So we were like, oh, we need some guys too. So what kind of characters are we going to do? And there's this trope in a lot of horror where there's always kind of a sexy female character who comes along and gets involved. So I don't remember who specifically it was, but someone said, sexy priest. We need a sexy priest. And
it was Gemma.
Well, okay, to be fair, I did remember who it was, but I didn't want to call her out again.
Yeah, thanks.
I
can't help
I think
it.
we have screenshots of that.
They're just so untouchable and sexy.
Hang on a minute, no one phoned me. My phone's been quiet. What?
Are you ordained, Gary? Are you a priest?
I could be for you.
I don't think anyone has ever said for me, and the restraining order is in the post.
Oh no!
So yeah, we started talking about how we needed male characters, and Sexy Priest came along. And for the longest time, we named everybody else except Sexy Priest. And for the longest time, we only referred to him as SP or Sexy Priest. So when it came time to cast, we realized, oh, we actually have to give him a name. So we said, okay, his name's Father Montgomery. That's fine. And then when it came to first names, we're like, is anyone ever going to call him by his first name? And we decided, no one ever is going to call him by his first name. It's just going to be Father Montgomery or Montgomery the whole time. So his first name is his first and middle name are Sexy Priest. So he's Sexy Priest Montgomery. Nobody knows that except you guys now.
So Easter eggs and things then, maybe not so much, like obviously we're not that kind of show, but there are definitely themes and running jokes and things that people will hopefully pick up on each character, and in the storyline that will kind of endear you to the cast and keep you hooked in on those little in jokes. I think listeners like those, and there's a lot of that with things like the No Sleep podcast as well. There's a lot of running jokes that have been going for 10 seasons now, 11 seasons, and people love that, and you see them talking about it in the social media groups and stuff. So yeah, and that just all comes from a place of having fun, and we're just having fun with this. I mean, I hate them all, but I'm having so much fun. It's great.
Well,
me and Will can't stand each other. I don't know.
No, I really can't.
That is very true.
Absolutely hate each other. Yeah.
God, I mean the ego. Is just...
Well, I guess you can't rule them out either, right? Like because sometimes they just pop up in as you write the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as we write more, I don't know if I'd call them Easter eggs, but there will be more things that relate back to earlier events or things that have been said. My character in particular she starts off as this very annoying girl. She's just super annoying. I hate her personally. And one of her things is she hears an accent and she latches onto it and makes that person's identity. Such as Gemma, who is obviously English, and she's going to be an English character in the show. So my character's kind of running gag for Gemma's character is that she's English, so every time she speaks, there's either going to be a really bad mimicry of an English accent, or she's going to ask things like, do you know the Queen? And just things that, you would associate really ignorant Americans who are obsessed with English accents would ask someone.
Brilliant. Will does a great English accent.
Hey, those are the fancy Americans.
But I think that's what makes it human in a way. Like, so we have another character, Cassie, who's played by Alison. And
Heyo.
Alison, if you've ever met her in real life, which I haven't, only virtually, but she's just like this huge ball of sunshine, and she's just, even when she's pissed off, she's pissed off in such a happy way. And her character is kind of the glue between all of the discontented girls when things start to go horribly wrong. Cassie's the one in the middle trying to keep them all together. And there's a lot of running jokes about her terrible jokes. She has a lot of David Cummings style dad jokes. If you've
Because
ever...
they're the best.
No. And there's a lot of that. I think Dez's character, Annabelle, she's our acting coach. And Des is a very organised individual, and she's quite open about that. And so we've tried to get elements of that into her character as well. So it's all based around who we are as people, I think, as well, to a certain point. So we're kind of acting, but we're kind of not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of us in our characters. I think I've put all the worst aspects of myself in my character personally. Hopefully, as I write her, she'll become more likable and more human. But to start, she's like everything that's awful about me, with a really high-pitched voice.
And it's interesting.
Every time I read a line that they wrote for me, I'm like, well, that's what they really think. I see.
My character, I hope, is not too closely related to me, because I tend to be like rude without meaning to be in my character, which I guess is like a younger version of me.
But I think the thing about your character is that you're very, very no nonsense, and there's no bullshit with Mariella. She says it as she sees it.
Yes.
Mariella, and that's Victoria doing the voice, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and she's a no shit Sherlock. Yeah, she's just says it as it is, and sometimes it comes out very blunt, and sometimes it doesn't. And I think that's I think there's bits of you in there as well. So don't kill me.
It's fine. It's fine. I'll kill you after the show's done.
Okay, thank you. But I've got to write it first, so just wait.
All right, that's fine.
Now we're never releasing.
Yeah. That's it. It's all finished. Just have a huge meltdown now and just go our separate ways.
Have you got a date in mind for when you want it to be the first episode to air, or what are you aiming for?
I think at this point we don't want to make any promises. Because it's still so early on. I think Gemma and I right now are aiming for a September finish date for the scripts.
Yeah.
And then hopefully either late September, early October, we can begin recording and give our cast something to do other than pat our butts and tell us we're awesome. Because
they're kind of they've been so good with casting that they're just all sitting around twiddling their thumbs waiting for us to get on with it. We've been asked quite a lot on our potential release dates, and it's just depending on a few things, mostly the scripts being written and a few other bits and pieces that we can't talk about. We would hope that it would be this year, but we can't guarantee anything. But it will be soon. It'll be soon, and we'll keep bugging everyone about it and reminding them about it, so you won't forget.
We're still here.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Please love us.
Yeah, I think as we write it, it'll come easier and it'll go quicker as we get to know the characters more. For me personally, writing is less me writing a story as it is me listening to someone in my head tell me the story, and I just write down whatever that little voice in my head is saying. So the more I get to know that voice, and all the voices in this case, the easier it is to write. So I think once we really get in our groove and things start moving and progressing, for me personally, I think the script is going to come pretty easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's and we're getting into a flow of working together as well. And actually, it's been really interesting because I know you've talked about it, Sarah, but I am quite protective over what I write. I don't share food. I don't play nicely with other people very well. I never thought I would be able to collaborate like this around something which is really personal. When you write something and you own it, it's super personal. And actually, Sarah, I think you're really similar to me in that sense. And
Sarah doesn't share stories.
we don't share. But we've found so far, fingers crossed, that it's not been a horrible process. Working together has actually been really enjoyable. And I point out when I think something needs changing, and Sarah will point out when she thinks something needs changing, and we'll either say yes or no. And it's easy. It works really well. So the script is evolving, I think, as we learn to work with each other as well.
Yeah, and I think in this case, it's easier because we went into it knowing we were going to be co-writers, as opposed to one of us thinking they were going to do it solo and then the other being brought on later on. We've been in it together since the beginning, so it was never a question of, okay, who's writing, primarily, and who's the kind of co-writer or who's kind of the secondary writer. It's we're both doing it together, equally diversified, everything. So I think that makes it easier for me, as opposed to if I had started writing it myself and they brought Gemma in later and they said, okay, this is your co-writer now. She's going to look at everything you've done and make changes. I would have been like, whoa. Yeah. Whoa.
That's not
I don't know about that. That's not, no.
No.
Yeah.
But we
That's
also...
actually...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say that's actually what I really love about this podcast, is that it is complete collaboration. Nobody is a leader. We're all the leaders. And that's probably why it's going to take a little bit of time to get everything together, because we're trying to all make decisions and all be together on everything about everything.
Yeah, totally. It's a big group effort, and I think that's what makes us kind of unique. Is it's not from like a girl power point of view or a feminist point of view, because I'm careful about those terms, but from a pure, like, 6 people getting down and doing something they enjoy together and having fun with it and sharing it. And I tell you what, it's a hell of a lot easier to do something like this when there's 6 of you than if you're doing it on your own. And I think particularly because it's not just 6 of us, we also have a team of editors and actors and other people helping us with art and various other things. The more the merrier. And it's been so eye-opening to see how people can work together on a project who've never even met in real life. I mean, I've never even met these people in real life. They don't know about my extra tail. They don't know anything about me. But they still trust me. And
I mean, you think we don't know about your extra tail, but you don't look out your window after like 9 p.m. So
it's because I think I'll see Gary there in his like priest habit, and it's scaring me.
He just wants to be your sexy priest. Okay.
Don't they all?
Not again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't share food either. So if you want fries, I'll buy you some. But leave my food alone, okay?
Yeah, don't take it off the plate, whatever you do.
Yes.
Oh, that's that's.
I'll buy you 5 fries if you want. 5 large fries. Just don't touch my fries.
Or don't
would you share your spaghetti though?
Ooh. Well, my spaghetti, I always make like a whole bunch extra. So if you want to, I mean, that's always extra. I mean, Italian, they make the extra stuff, and then there's enough for the week and stuff like that.
But what if someone wants a Lady in the Tramp moment?
Well, you got to make the spaghetti then. And don't break it. You have to keep it whole.
I feel like this has gone off the rails into some really weird euphemism that I'm not quite keeping up with.
I was going to ask about meatballs, but I'm going to keep quiet.
No, you've already done it, Harry. You can't say that. You've already done it. We know what you're thinking.
I chop the meat up and I sprinkle it on the pasta. So no meatballs, Gary.
Oh, nice. No meatballs. Okay.
Sorry.
Right, I'm going then. See you later.
I told Gary I'd send him a mason jar of spaghetti sauce, and then he would just have to buy the pasta. Or maybe I'll even send him. I'll send him like a ronzoni or what's the other ones? Like a Barilla.
Nice.
I have no idea what any of those things are. I'm sorry.
Oh,
it's a pasta brand.
Yeah, just pasta.
Okay.
Dry pasta.
Yeah. I'm probably more Italian than Will, but he makes a lot of pasta.
Yeah. Well, here's a question: will the seasons be different characters, or the characters' plot continuing, and like will there'll be an ultimate arch summing up all the seasons together, or will each season have its arch that concludes, and sort of like the Harry Potter novels? But then the Harry Potter novels also had that all-consuming arch for all eight books, you know. So like how what's the construction of it, or is it not? Is that too technical? I don't know.
No, I understand what you're asking. It's not gonna. We will have additional cast, but the main cast that we have now is not going to change. The people who we have involved now will hopefully continue to be involved in future seasons, and there is going to be an overarching plot. I mean, you don't just summon a demon and then go about your day. It doesn't stop there. You have to figure out how to fix that, and I'm not sure if we're going to do that in 10 episodes. Personally, I don't think we're going to be able to, but you know.
No, I think I agree. The way I see it in my mind, and I've got some ideas for season 2 already. It's a continuation of the story that we set out in season 1. There's a lot that happens in season 1, and those things aren't all going to be resolved in one season. So it's it's an ongoing plot. But having said that, each season will be written with a beginning, middle, and an end. It will be very much in the style that we write for other podcasts, where it's a properly set out story narrative, and then we would like to bring in new people for season 2 as well to help with the continuing story.
More sexy vicars, or
no, we have an unsexy vicar. We will actually have an unsexy vicar, I think, just to balance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, season 2 or season 1 ends with or he comes in it towards the end, but we do have Uncle Ned, who is another priest who is not quite of the sexy variety, which is why he gets a full name.
Yeah.
I mean, some people might find him sexy. You don't know.
Yeah,
This is true. This is true.
He's
not written as an intentionally eye candy character. I mean, ear candy? I don't know.
Ear candy.
Ear candy.
Ear candy. Oh my god.
Well, we love Ned. Ned's a good guy. He's a good guy.
So I'm assuming you all survived the end of the first series then, or
No, I can't tell you that. Can
I
we?
mean, maybe.
no? But
Asking about Easter eggs and who's gonna survive. Come on, man.
Come on. I mean, it's a world where
I'm just putting
demons
2 and 2
exist.
together, you know.
Yeah, but it's a world where demons exist. So how do you know who's really dead and who really isn't?
Oh,
There
yeah.
you go.
This is
You're
what
gonna find out very early on that the line between being alive and being dead in Calling Darkness is a very, very thin one, and a lot of people, say a lot, but a few people are going to be straddling that line.
Okay, cool. So obviously Gemma's going to be one of them.
I'm not telling you anything.
Personally, I'm going to kill off Gemma in like the first episode and then take over the show, and it's just going to be the S.H. Cooper hour every week. So,
Yeah.
spoiler alert.
Okay, I'll come back and haunt you and infect your microphone.
That's going to be the spin-off.
The S.H. Cooper show.
It would be the most dull thing ever. It's just going to be me talking about my dogs, and there's not going to be any script, and people are going to be like, what the hell? Where's Calling Darkness? This is why I can't be left on my own.
So is there any call for animal actors in your show? Are you going to bring your dogs in to do some voices?
Well, we had a very long argument about this amongst the cast and crew, because I was of the opinion firmly that we needed a show mascot who was an animal of some sort, and I'm not allowed to have one.
Will.
I'm very sad.
We said no.
We all said no. I think because they quite rightly pointed out that it was a bit of a cliche. And I was like, well, you all have animals. You clearly don't love them. It's, not my fault.
I mean, I was all for it, but I think
There's
we had some
also-
difficulty deciding on what the animal should be.
Yeah.
And there's just so much
Scooby-Doo.
going on with this show that to add an animal would just be just too much.
Too much.
It could be.
It really would. When you know how many parts there are that are moving already, from a writing standpoint, to throw in a cat and be like, okay, now you have to add a cat into like half these scenes. and you have to justify why there is a cat here. Why does it matter that there is a cat?
I'm gonna
So then you have to think, okay, whose cat is it? Why is it here? Why is it reacting the way it is? What kind of, is it going to be some sort of indication that something bad is going to happen? Is it just a stupid cat? And, you gotta think about all these things.
You have to really make it to where it doesn't seem like, oh, there's a spooky story and also a cat. Like that would just be too weird.
I feel like I've opened a wound up here, you know.
Yeah, I'm not bitter. I'm not
Kinda.
bitter. It's something that makes me sad every day, but I'm living with it. It will just come out when I write.
One day at a time, Gemma.
When I kill everybody else off, it will be apparent, that I'm not over it.
This is why I have to kill her first.
Yeah,
This is
it's a race.
the eternal struggle of writers.
It's all about the ego, man.
You kill everyone else off, and then
In the end,
the
it'll-
cats multiply and overtake everything.
The cats just do the podcast. It's just an hour.
It turns out everyone was a cat all along.
Calling
Ah.
Catcast.
There's an Easter egg.
On the podcast, nobody knows you're a cat.
That's
But we
terrible.
do have Charlotte who can do some pretty authentic cat noises, so that could work.
Right, you can't say that and not do it. Then go on.
I'm
Let's
not
listen.
doing it. No.
Cat noise, cat noise, cat noise,
Nice, nice.
cat noise.
While we are focusing on Char for a moment, she has been integral to kind of the foundation of Calling Darkness and how the show got started, as Gemma already said. But one thing that she's also doing is she's teaching us some Danish along the way. And for those of you who don't know Danish or have never heard it, this is a language that sounds like someone has just recorded something in English and played it in reverse. And it's a fascinating language, and it sounds completely insane, and I love it. And Charlotte
Brilliant.
taught us a phrase that is apparently a phrase over in Denmark called asses with ears.
Really?
Yes. Charlotte, can you explain to us again what asses with ears means and how to say it in Danish?
Well, it's basically a different way of calling someone an idiot, more or less.
Okay.
So the Danish version would be røvmøger.
Wow.
What?
She's not really Danish. She's just drunk. She's just...
Whereabouts in Denmark are you from?
And the north.
Oh, in the north. So I've been to Copenhagen.
Okay.
And to me, when Danish people speak English, they sound almost Irish. Does that make sense?
I don't know.
No, that's how it
Maybe.
sounded to me. It might just be like a Copenhagen accent. I don't know, but
It's probably.
yeah,
It's a bit
I
more
love-
harsh.
yeah. Over there, it's a beautiful country.
Thank you.
So say something more than just the idiot thing. Say like a sentence. I want to see if it sounds like backwards.
You didn't say please.
Please.
Yeah, that's very real to say, hey, monkey, Dan.
Speak for me.
We got monkeys, dogs, cats. What's going on?
Say these boys,
Just
honestly.
mention a lot of the animals. Also.
Charlotte, remember when I asked you to say, I asked you to teach me to say, hello, my dog, I love you. I don't want to go to work. Can you say that now?
What was it again?
Hello, my dog, I love you. I don't want to go to work.
Hej min hund, jeg elsker dig. Jeg har ikke lyst til at tage på arbejde.
Oh, it's so sexy. I love it.
Almost like German.
No.
Oh, did I say something bad? Sorry.
God, your ears are
I'm
clearly
American.
not refined, Will.
I'm American.
Dude.
I mean,
Sorry.
I'm American too, man. But
Whoops,
come on.
Sorry.
If you'd said maybe it sounds, Swedish or Norwegian,
Yeah,
maybe,
or
but
Danish,
yeah, Danish sounds Danish. Imagine
Yeah.
that.
Oh.
It's
She's
just
got
weird.
she's got a voodoo doll now that she's stabbing away like mad.
Yeah.
Oh, I did.
Well, serious question. Serious question. For Danish, is that where the pastry came from?
No, I believe that was French actually.
Oh.
So
That's interesting.
I feel like you keep trying to steer the conversation towards food. Are you hungry?
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, you're making me starving.
Sorry?
I'm hungry and overweight, so you know.
I feel you, man. I feel you.
Gary?
I have myself muted while this is going on because my stomach is rumbling so loudly.
Oh no. Well,
I'm the same, and I've already eaten. You know.
oh, you've oh, that's right. It's yeah.
Yeah.
I'm making
Gosh.
spaghetti.
In talking of accents, Will does a really good English accent, don't you, Will? I think you should show all the ladies your
No,
your
it's
excellent
terrible.
English accent. It's fantastic. It's just
Okay,
I
if you
thought
do
it was
yours,
English.
I'll do mine as Bridget, my character.
Ooh, go on, Will.
Okay, I'll say like you know, somebody's playing a bass, you know, and then you walk in and you're like, you know, oh, you know, it's they're not playing it. So you're like, you go to slap it to little holder.
Oh dear God.
Oh, wow.
I feel better about myself suddenly.
Oh no.
Wow.
Oh man, that was yeah.
That was something. That was something.
Holder.
Different.
Do you want a roll? We've got.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can make a roll for you. Like,
She just wants to kill your character.
I was gonna say you'd have to die fairly quickly, but it's. That was very British.
Gosh. So
You sounded like my nan. I was.
there's his audition right there. So
Yeah.
Come on, Sarah.
Oh, I guess it's my turn. Okay, so like I said, I play Bridget. She's very annoying, and she talks in a high-pitched voice. And the minute she meets Gemma's character, Gloria, she's asking her questions about being British. So she talks a little bit like this, and oh my God, you're British? Okay, I can do a British accent. I can totally do a British accent. Okay. Do you know the Queen? Oh, she's fabulous.
that's actually quite good.
I don't want to
Oh, that's
people off,
brilliant.
but she doesn't sound like that the whole way through. She's,
No,
She just in case anyone thinks, oh my God, no, thank you. It's
Yeah.
her character evolves and
She evolves quickly.
yeah, I think our characters start a lot of us start as tropes. So
Yeah.
like, it's your kind of valley girl, kind of very annoying, high pitched, no real sense of personal space or being self conscious or what have you. Gloria is your very sardonic British character, kind of a little bit cold, a little bit standoffish. We already talked about Mariella, who is kind of no nonsense, tells it like it is, no bullshit. She has no filter. And Cassie is your very happy-go-lucky, cheerful person. Annabelle is a very kind teacher character. And we haven't talked about Char's character at all, who's Nadia.
No, we haven't. No, but she's mysterious, isn't she? She's
She's our mysterious character who's kind of in the shadows even during the show. And she's kind of like your gothic, a little bit darker character. But as the show progresses, they kind of step away from their tropes and they have to learn to work together if they want to survive whatever it is they've summoned. So while they start off being like Bridget, very annoying, or Cassie, very upbeat and happy all the time with her puns, they do all evolve and change into more human characters instead of remaining as, annoying or what have you as they are in the first episode.
Sort of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer type thing. Because like in the beginning she was like an annoying like valley girl, and then she becomes that vampire slayer, and then she gets more serious. Even the movie and even the series, it's the series was probably a little more serious than the movie, but the movie was, she was like this.
I think in our case it's going to be less the characters growing up and developing into new people as it is discovering that all the kind of barriers they put up around themselves when they meet new people and the characters that they think they have to be kind of break down as they realize if they want to get through this, they have to start acting human together and let their real person show through. Oh, hi, Graham.
Is he there with you?
He popped in the chat, and yeah, he said the trailer is currently in production and he is correct.
Graham does just materialise out of thin air. Graham plays our demon overlord, by the way, who is called Lialga, and he is one scary dude. We've already heard his scary laugh, and it's scary. He's a scary dude.
Gary is too.
Yeah, yes, in different ways.
He says Satanic wave.
Yeah,
But isn't that the best way?
yeah, definitely.
It's a little bit like the Queen's wave, but you know.
Oh shit! Oh my god!
It's back to front. Like it's a reverse of how it.
Oh gosh.
So we've just solidified that the Queen is satanic.
Wait.
That is not what I said. That is
not what we said.
And,
And we do
Hold
not
on
want
now.
to go to jail for treason or slander or the Queen is a very dear friend of mine. Very close personal friend, and if she's listening, hi. We don't think
Hey,
you
Liz.
She actually, I heard that
Yeah.
she loves the show with me and Gary.
Does she?
Yeah.
She like your British accent.
She does. She asks me to do it every time we have the tea and biscuits with her.
No.
Is it biscuits?
And biscuits.
That's it.
Do you not have biscuits in America? Is that not a thing?
Yeah.
We do, but we properly call them cookies.
Yeah.
Cookies are different. Cookies
Biscuits
have got
are different.
dough in them. Biscuits are like non-doughy. They're snappy, crunchy biscuits.
No, that's cookies.
Yeah, that's
Biscuits
cookies.
are
Cookies are
and-
doughy and soft.
Or
and
biscotti.
chewy.
No,
Oh,
they're all
okay.
cookies.
I thought
Okay.
biscuits were like soft and fluffy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Whoa. You've never had a hobnob?
Yeah.
Whoa,
If you ain't had a
Gemma, we don't
hobnob, you
need
ain't
to hear
lived.
about your hobnobs. Okay? The
Yeah.
Christian channel.
That just means you've never had a hobnob. Like
That's it.
what
Yeah.
would
You have
care.
not lived until you've had a
Not
hobnob in your
lived.
mouth.
Gary knows.
Oh, goodness.
Torture of dunking your hobnob into a steaming, scalding mug of tea, and then watching as the bottom half breaks off and sinks to the bottom of the cup.
Yeah.
That sounds
I
painful.
understand the torture.
I need an adult.
See, you know what I was when I you hear hobnob, I see like a apple fritter.
No. You need to
God.
Google it, man. You can
God.
get chocolate hobnobs as well. I prefer chocolate.
Oh, this hurts me, like deep in my core. This hurts me.
Well, I'm not touching
Really?
this computer because I don't want anything to go wrong. So
No, don't touch it.
hobnobs, I heard that before, and I know there's like a product that I've seen in the supermarket.
It's not a product, it's a life experience.
Yes.
You haven't lived until you've hobnobbed.
Yeah. And until you've dipped your chocolatey hobnob into a cup of steaming tea, you've not lived.
Now, you-
Definitely not.
So wait a
Okay,
second.
so what I'm hearing is next time my Scottish friend sends me my yearly goodies package from Scotland, I need to get some hobnobs.
Exactly.
Less cocaine, more hobnobs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Do you get ginger nuts over there?
No,
No. You don't get ginger nuts.
no.
Why
They're
do these
really
all
nice,
sound
though.
dirty?
I know, it's like, I
Um,
think it's that British repression where there's like, you have to be very proper.
Harder.
We can't do this. So they just name all of their food very suggestively to get around
oh
it.
god.
We
Hey, and I was gonna say none of you guys have had spotted dick then.
Oh my god.
No.
But you've at least heard of that one.
I
I mean,
don't think we even eat that anymore. That's
I love spotted dick.
I bet you do.
Oh, yeah.
Loads of custard. It's brilliant.
There's an ongoing joke I have with a few of the people in the No Sleep podcast group on the correct way to make a sandwich. Because there was a long American versus English thread on how a hot dog is a sandwich, which I was really upset about. So yeah, that's these differences make us interesting. If everybody was the same, life would be boring. But there is a correct way to make a sandwich, and it's mine. So, just saying, like, if anyone's listening, Brooks, if you're listening, hot dogs are not sandwiches. Just telling you that now.
Well,
They're not.
there's also
They're
a
not,
correct
though.
way-
I agree.
There's a correct way to eat cupcakes too. You're supposed to break off the bottom and push it on top.
Yes.
And I never knew that.
Really?
Like I was like, what?
Really?
Yeah.
Then you
I
get
do
like a
see people
cupcake
do that, but
sandwich.
I just think they're squishing the best part, which is the icing, in between more cake.
Right. So
Mhm.
then all of the cake gets
Yeah.
icing.
Yeah.
No, then you have more cake to icing ratio to deal with, and I just think that's wrong.
Well, if you frost them properly, then it's fine.
Well, clearly I'm not frosting my cupcakes right.
There's always like an air of aggression simmering just under the surface. Like...
You can hear it. So here's one
with
for you. Here's one. Is a pizza a pie?
No. Why are you even asking that question?
No, a pie has to have a filling.
Right, okay. Good.
What
I
if-
know some
what if the
Americans
crust
who
is
think
filled?
pizza's a pie.
What if the crust
There
is
is-
filled with cheese?
No, there is something technically called a pizza pie, and that's a Chicago deep dish.
Yeah, it's a deep dish. That's when you have an actual crust that rises around, and it's like a lot of filling inside.
And
And
it's
it's
the
very
best.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, pizza is like an American thing. In Italy, it's really called what they call here like focaccia. It's from what I heard, it's basically they don't really put a lot of cheese on it. It's really just
No.
yeah. It looks totally different. It's kind of like Chinese food in America. It's not the same as if you like went to China.
I'm shocked.
So how do you make a real sandwich? Like what is the rules for sandwich making?
Well, so the podcast is going to come out soon. There are. You're going to have to wait and see because I think I'm going to do a whole separate Q&A somewhere where I make a sandwich live online, which I know you're all looking forward to. If it
I'm
works,
already subscribed. You haven't even made the channel or whatever for it yet, but I'm already there.
You have to pay. You have to pay. It's,
You see, I was thinking that I'm ready for the S.H. Cooper hour at this point. Can we just kill her?
Wait, who are we killing, me or Gemma?
Gemma.
Okay,
I do not want to watch people make sandwiches.
yeah, just me. It's me making a sandwich. Just, I wear a different costume every week. You know? Sandwich, different costume. It's fine.
Same sandwich, different costume.
Yeah, people
Is that the name of the show?
Yes.
You see, you should work in marketing.
This is actually how we come up with a lot of our ideas. We
Yeah.
just start talking to each other like this, and eventually someone goes, that could actually work.
We had loads of ideas just mostly from group chat. I would say that
think-
the majority of the podcast is born of group chat.
That's how the Sexy Priest got started. I think that's actually Sexy Priest might have been the first idea, and then it kind of devolved from there.
I think what happened was we decided that, okay, we want to do something with demons. What do you need to do when you have a demon? You need someone to come combat it. And Gemma immediately went, slam fist on desk, Sexy Priest.
It's worth mentioning we have a paranormal investigator as well.
Yes, we do.
Who's played by Dan Zabula from the No Sleep podcast, and the other, The Death of John Parker, I think it is, his other podcast that he writes
Yes.
himself.
Mhm,
and
correct.
is in. Oh, good. I'm glad I got that right. He is very well-known voice, and we're lucky to have him as well. So I think he'll be a good. The characters of our paranormal investigator, who's called Phineas, and Sexy Priest, they kind of have quite a good bromance going on. So there's that extra dynamic in the show too, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what those guys do with those roles.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued to hear this now.
I heard rolls.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't ask me about sandwiches again. Come on.
Oh, God.
It's lame. I'm drunk. It's just no.
Well, here's a good question. I don't know if this will open up a can of worms, but what do you expect out of the show, growth-wise, monetary-wise, distribution-wise?
I think at this point that's a really difficult question to answer. Right now, it's a labor of love, like we've said. It's something that we're doing because it's something we all enjoy. It's something we feel passionate about. In terms of growth, obviously, we do hope that it develops, like we said, into a season 2. We are actually, we're our own little production company now. We're the audio drama queens. And we're not only going to focus on Calling Darkness, that's our first baby, but we already have another in the incubator that we're planning to develop maybe between seasons or as its own separate thing while Calling Darkness is going on as well. So yeah, we're planning to develop and grow Calling Darkness as well as other things and ourselves as well. But in terms of financial gain or what have you, I think it's a little too early to start saying we're gonna retire.
Yeah.
I don't think many people make a podcast to make money. I think they make you make stuff like this. You write books, you paint, or you should do. I think personally.
Yeah.
And you listen to things online or whatever, music, podcasts, because you love what you do. And we were all huge podcast fans. That's the number one reason we all know each other. We're enormous podcast like nerds, and that's why we're making our own. So financially, I mean, what I would say is that we hope eventually to be able to cover costs for things and to reward those who have helped us, particularly with the technical side of things that we perhaps can't do ourselves. We don't expect it to carry on in the way that it is. We would like it to be more self-sustaining. Yeah. But it's not our primary goal.
Yeah, because I mean, me and Gary, we make, like Gary calls it the cheddar, and we making tons of cheddar on this thing, It's we it's like product placement, basically. That's the key.
What meaning? What? Sorry, what?
Like product, like you just like announce other products and you just like advertise for them.
I see.
Yeah, but if
eventually maybe we'll do that. But right now, I think all of us are in it because it's something we're very passionate about. I'm passionate about writing. Voice acting is a more recent pursuit of mine. I know Gemma is very passionate about writing and art and voice acting, as is Desdemona, and everyone overall is just very into being creative, and I think you have to have that spark and that drive before you even begin something. If you start a podcast thinking this is going to be it, I'm going to make money, I'm going to retire, exactly. It would be the same as if you said I'm going to start a Twitch channel playing video games just to make money.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen. It's as realistic as the other. It's just not going to be something that happens. It has to be something that you're doing because you love it. And if it does eventually make money and we're able to support those who have supported us, that would be fantastic. Yeah. And hopefully we'll get there someday, but right now from the get-go, I think it's more, let's just get it out. Let's just get it written, get it recorded, and get it out there.
So here's another question to go off of that. If it doesn't look good, let's say for the second season, let's say for however you feel it doesn't, it wasn't, maybe the first season in your eyes, it's not going well. How many seasons would you go before you say, let me just go to another project? Or would you just keep doing the seasons and hope for the best?
I think 2 for sure, because that's kind of what we've discussed.
Yeah.
I think it would be a case for me of, if we didn't feel it was working, we'd have to sit down and make it better. I don't think we would ever abandon something just because it was a bit shit. I think you would just sit down and go, how can we make this better? And a lot of that revolves around listener feedback, listening to not everyone's critiques, because not everyone's critiques are that useful, as we know, writers. But it is a case of see what the reviews are saying, see what other people in the industry are saying, reach out and ask for advice and ask for help, think about what we can do better, and just continually evolve and learn.
Exactly.
I think if you put so much time and effort that we already have putting into something, and then it for whatever reason doesn't work, it would be disingenuous of us to just kind of stop doing it and do something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think as writers who have done other things before and have gotten feedback and have learned from that feedback, we are kind of in a better place to handle it and to grow from it, as opposed to just thinking, oh, they hate it, it's shit, shut it down.
Yeah. Did you write? Because you know how sometimes you have these stories, these series that they cancel them for whatever reason. People want to know the ending, but then they make that they have that quick ending that they wrote already, that will just end the whole season, and you're like, damn it, it should have went for 4 seasons, but it stopped at 2, and they have that little ending that they had to quickly write, or they have just in case the season ends.
That sounds like a doomsday ending to me, and trying to be positive, no, I don't have a doomsday idea in mind. I don't know if Gemma...
No, I don't. To be fair, this is me as a writer. I don't do anything short. I really struggle with short stories, actually. I'm a long-term kind of character development kind of girl, and everything I write with a long-term view. So I have an possible ending or 2 in mind. I also feel like this is going to write itself. as we go into season 2.
Yeah.
What I'm keen not to do is to kind of what I call Walking Dead it, where it just has drifted off beyond recognition.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it just keeps going and going.
It's become a bit tedious for me personally. You know, it's still a kind of quality production, but it just hasn't. The story hasn't gripped me for a long time now.
Yeah.
And we're writers first and foremost, Sarah and I, and I think I'd like to think that we will, between us, keep that momentum going with the help of everyone else who can point out when we shouldn't write animals in because that's a bit of a trope.
I'm sorry, okay? I can
You're not
feel
sorry.
Season 2 animals are coming.
Yay!
Well, I mean, The Walking
quit.
The Walking Dead's gonna probably end soon because supposedly the character that plays Rick is leaving. Yeah, so unless they just make Daryl the main guy.
I've just invested.
No, just make Negan the main guy.
I love Neat.
No, I've kind of given up now, which is a shame. But there's, it had a good run.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's a problem that a lot of American shows in particular have is they start and they do well, and then they just don't know when to stop because they're still doing well. Even though there's no story anymore, even though nothing good is happening. So I think that's something very important for us to keep in mind is knowing when to stop.
Because it's all about the cheddar.
Oh, that's one of the worst secrets, Like there are so many other cheeses out there you can use. The other thing as well is if it's a good time to talk about it is we mentioned we had an idea for another podcast, and I think the idea we have for that is it will be much more individual stories that are complete. Yeah. So it will be a lot easier to either make that a single series or 2 or 3 series, and hopefully it shouldn't run out of momentum because those are complete stories within them each episode.
Like
yeah, that one I'm not
series.
So worried about it losing steam because it's not tied together. It's going to be individual stories covering a specific topic in each one.
Yeah.
Whereas Calling Darkness and things like that, they do rely very heavily on there being some sort of forward momentum.
Yeah.
As opposed to Walking Dead, since that's the example we've been using, where it's pretty much the same thing every week. You have a group of people, something predictable happens, they get out of it, and the next episode is going to be much the same.
Yeah, like you have no idea why is this happening? It's like, okay, these things happen when this happens, but what's the outcome? Like, I want to know why this happened. Like, what did the government do something? Is this spiritual or something?
Exactly.
Good. Yeah.
Well, I think Gary's going to be slaughtered soon if we don't end this. Sorry, Gary. And I have
it's okay.
I have to pull weeds.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you make some pasta.
Well, that's going to be after. I got to work off the pasta before I eat it.
Oh, okay.
So I don't want to get too big,
No.
And I got the meat sauce, so it's,
I just got a message from a friend, and he said he's been watching this the whole time, and he said, I came for the spooks, and now I'm leaving hungry. So
You're welcome.
I wanted to say to people who are listening, I think Graham's listening, and anyone else who's listening who's been working with us on the podcast, and we can't really name names and things too much at the moment, although we do need to name our 2 editors as well, Christina and Matt, who are going to be sharing the audio mixing duties between them. So, hi guys. I kind of personally just wanted to say thank you to everybody so far who has given us such an enormous amount of advice and input and taken the time to sit down and work with us on something. We don't have money to give these people. They're just offering their knowledge and their expertise, and really that has meant the world to us. And it's got us as far as it has. So I think as a group, if I'm allowed to speak for the group, I think we are saying thank you from our hearts, very grateful.
For sure.
Excellent, excellent.
The Gary Bullers. I'd like to thank you guys for coming on, and obviously it's worked out quite well, I thought, considering there was 8 of us.
All the issues were before we really started.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
And OBS is still chugging along here, so I'm happy.
Nice. Well, no, thanks very much for coming on, and I'm really looking forward to listening to the podcast, and keep us updated. Don't be strangers. I follow you on Twitter now, and I'm sure Will does the same, and We won't forget you, but please don't forget us either.
Well, thank you so much for having us. This is a lot of fun.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was a blast.
Good
Thank
fun.
you. Thanks,
Cool.
guys. I'm gonna shoot off now. So have a great rest of Sunday and best of luck.
Yes.
You
best
too.
of luck.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a great
Bye.
night.
Thanks. Bye. 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 Guys.
See you next time. Wow, everybody's still here? Come on, guys, it's over. See you next week.